Hello, welcome again to another episode. And today is going to be an interesting subject. It's about who is a leader, who is what qualified to be a leader. What does a leader look like? And there are many examples God has given us in the Bible. And the one person that I admire the most as a leader is Moses. So we're going to examine what Moses looks like as a leader in the Bible for the Jewish people. So let's look at this in some detail, in some great detail, so we can identify. Because a lot of people today are accepting position, and they believe they were called for this position. It could be in any kind of industry, even in a ministry, thinking that they were called to be a leader. But once you learn what a leader is, you're going to see these people are not leaders, nor were they selected to be a leader. To begin with, most leaders, okay, most leaders is not something that's easy for people to be a leader. It's not easy. And most leaders elect themselves to be a leader. They elect themselves. And most leaders really do it. Why are they doing? Why do I want to be a leader? I want to be a leader because there's benefits involved. What those are those benefits? I have prestige, I have honor, I have money, I have power, I have glory, everybody loving me. I'm on top of the world, I'm the king. And this is why people go for that. This is why they go for it. They're not going for it because it's going to benefit the public or whatever organization you are leading. It has to do with self-interest. And this is where all our problems come from when we have picked leaders to lead us in whatever type of institution, whether to run the country or whether down into a organization, even leaders inside your own home, even your family member as well, who can be leaders or try or wants to be a leader. So what we're going to examine is what does it take or what does it mean to be a leader? Now, let's start with Moses. Moses is, again, as I said, is a perfect example of a leader. The best thing about Moses, he was humble. Okay, he was humble. He was willing to accept criticism from anyone. He was willing to listen. He was like a blank sheet of paper. So whatever people say, he will take into consideration. If it's the right, if it's the truth, he will implement it. That was one thing about him. He was very, very humble, and God loved him for that. So let's look at what happened when God came to Moses. Imagine God came to you and said, I want you to be the president of the United States. Now, it's not just people telling you this. Now, this is God himself coming to you saying, I'm picking you to be the president of the United States. You say, what? Me? You want me to be president of the United States? Yeah, God said, yes, I'll pick you. Now, who knows better? Do you think you know better than God? Absolutely not. So this is what has happened. God came to Moses and says, you know what? You're going to be the president of the Jewish people. I want you to lead these people. Now, Moses did not jump up right away. Most of us were probably, yeah, really? Okay, sure, I'm ready to go. Before God finished his sentence, you're already running into the position. Moses did not do that. He did the opposite. Moses actually argued with God. The first thing he says to God, I stutter. I can't be the leader of these people. Pick someone else. God says, Moses, lead my people. Moses says, God, what about my brother Aaron? Let him be the leader. God says to Moses again, lead my people. Moses says to God, my brother Aaron is the eldest, he's the oldest. It will offend him if you pick me over him. So Moses going back and forth with God. Why would he do that? Why would Moses turn down God who tell him, I want you to be the president of the United States? Why would he do that? That's a very good question. Let's look in deep what Moses was seeing that you and I could not see. So to give you a better picture of this is what you need to focus on. That's going to explain this in more detail. What Moses was looking at that you and I would have never thought about. Now remember, Moses was able to speak to God. He was a prophet, and he was the only prophet that can talk to God while he was awake. Every other prophet had to go to sleep to speak with God, except Moses. That's how special Moses was. And yet, he still turned God down to lead the Jewish people. So let's see what happened here. So to understand this, let's look at this scenario I'm going to give you. There was a teacher. Think about it, a teacher, brand new teacher, excited, full of energy. I mean, just enthusiastic. You name it. I mean, just unbelievable. Wonderful with the kids. Just enjoy what she does. Full of life. So she started this new job. She's been on the job for a while, but then she had this one administrator that was always on her. Every day there was something going on. So each day was just killing her spirit. It just was draining her. She was starting to dislike being a teacher. But there was one student that was somewhat iffy in terms of he was kind of distant, but there were some things going on with him nobody knew about. But this student wanted to get close to the teacher. But because he liked the teacher, because the teacher was full of energy and exciting, and the teacher showed a lot of passion, caring for what she did, and also for the students as well. So every day he was trying to get close to her because, he didn't have anyone. So he felt comfort with her being with this teacher. But the teacher slowly was losing interest in teaching, starting to just letting go of the classroom, not really wanting to engage anymore. And then this student started to miss days after days. A week goes by, he doesn't show, then 3 weeks, then months go by, and eventually he dropped out of school. Now, moving forward, a year later, the student got into gangs. He's been in the gang for a year now, and then incident happened, two rival gang, and he got into a fight. He was in a fight with this other gang, and he ends up killing one of the other gang member. So he was convicted and charged 40 years in prison with no parole. So he went to prison 40 years, no parole. And then he finally made parole. He came out. But he went in. He was young when he went in. So he could not deal with society. He was always an issue for him. So eventually, within 6 months after parole, he committed suicide. He died. Now, the teacher, she happens to die too and went up to heaven. The administrator that was bothering the teacher, she died and she went up into heaven. So when the teacher went up to heaven and they said, "Are you so-and-so?" Say, "Yes." "Okay, you're going to heaven." So she has a pass, she went to heaven. Then the administrator said, "You so-and-so?" She said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I don't see your name in the book of life. You're not here. Okay, you're downstairs." I said, "What? Downstairs?" "Yes, you're going to hell." "What do you mean I'm going to hell? What did I do?" "Well, it says here you're charged with murder." "Murder? What do you mean murder? I never heard of fly." "Well, that's not what it says here. It says here you killed 2,500 people. You murdered 2,500 people." And she said, "You sure it can't be me? Check again." "Say, I'm checking. You murdered 2,500 people." And she said, "Well, can you please explain the people I murdered?" And so, of course, it says that teacher that was in a classroom, her assignment was, for that time she was there, was to help this kid. That was her assignment. But because you kept going at her, stabbing her, hurting her, discouraging her, she let go. And she was not able to bond with this kid. She was not able to help this kid. And this kid went off track and he ended up murdering someone. And on top of that, he went to prison and committed suicide. Now, he was supposed to get married and have 8 children. And then those children would have children, and those children would have children, those children would have children. Those are the children you murdered. And right there, she realized she was guilty. Because in heaven, when you're standing before God, you can't lie. There's no lie. Everything is clear, complete clarity. There's no fuzziness. There's no if or but. There's no such thing. It's clear. So you see now, you say, well, okay, how does this relate to Moses? Why is Moses saying no to the leadership position? Because that moment, Moses realized, I have millions of Jews that I'm going to be leader of. If I say the wrong thing or do the wrong things to these people, I could potentially murder these people. And I would have millions of lives that I've destroyed on my hands and I have to take account for. That's what terrified Moses about taking the leadership position, because he was so scared he would be guilty of murdering millions of people. And if you know anything about Moses in the Bible, he was very, very careful. Okay, he was very careful how he handled himself as a leader because he understood the consequences of what a leader is. So he didn't want that on his hand. He was very, very afraid. So now, what are the qualities? Now, what happened is, this is the things about a leader. When Moses came down from the mountain receiving the Ten Commandments from God, he saw the people had created the golden calf. Okay, so they committed sin. So at that point, God has got angry. And God says, you know what? I'm going to kill everybody. And I'm going to give you a brand new team, Moses. We're going to start all over again, give you a brand new team starting with you. And Moses said, listen to what our leader said. Listen to what a perfect leader says. He says, God, if you're going to kill everyone, kill me too. Why? Because I was leading them. I am at fault. I'm to blame. If anyone, I'm to blame. So kill me too. And this is why God did not kill the Jewish people, because he would have to destroy Moses as well, and he loved Moses. Okay? So you see what a leader means. A leader is willing to put his life on the line. He's not going to throw anyone under the bus. A leader doesn't go fill out an application to be a leader, fill a resume to be a leader. A leader is picked by the people. The people come knocking at your door and say, hey, I want you to be the next leader of so-and-so. So why now? This person who they're picking to be a leader, he doesn't want to be a leader. That's another thing about it. Real leaders don't want to be leaders. That's the beauty about real leaders. They don't want it because they understand the responsibility of that leadership position. The only time a real leader is going to step in and assume a leadership position is when there's no one else that can do the job except them. And they cannot wait until they find someone else to replace them, because every day they're hoping God would send someone else that would allow them to step down and give that position to someone else, because they understand what it means to be a leader. Now, in the desert, when they were in a desert, what was the whole purpose of the desert thing with the Jewish people? 40 years. What's the purpose of that? The purpose of that was God was preparing them to be the leader of the world, to lead the people spiritually of the world. In order for you, and you remember I told you, a leader has to be prepared. It's not that you just step in or you walked off a college campus, you got a degree, and then you're ready to be a leader, or you spend 20 years or 5 years as this position, and then you're ready to step into a leader. There are many things about a human being they need to work on to be able to be a leader. Think about it. Can you ever, think about this for a minute. Would you be able to be a leader of an organization, and then your members, your staff, do something wrong, and then you're told to fire them, but instead you said, I'm going to step down. I'm not going to fire them. I'm going to fire myself. That's what Moses did. That's what Moses did. He says, no, I'm leading these people. Full responsibility follow me. Meaning that if you are a leader, a true leader, you don't throw people under the bus. You don't say, this person did it, I've done what I could, I try to protect you, but you went outside the line, so you on your own. And I've heard that before. And I'm sure every one of you have heard that from a leader telling, look, I can only protect you up to this point. Why are they telling you that? Because it's about them. It's not about leadership. It's about them. They're protecting their position. And as long you stay in line, their position is protected as well. But once you step out, they're not going to put themselves on the line for you. It's not going to happen. And this is why when you look at it today, and it makes sense, do we really have real leaders today? Look around. Think about your job. Think about maybe your husband or a father or the president, vice president, governor. Are these people leaders? How about your supervisor, the owner of the company? Do they exhibit this quality? This quality is not something that grows overnight. It takes time. Just like I just told you, it took 40 years for God trying to mold these people to become spiritual leaders. That's how long it takes. It takes generation. Okay, so it doesn't happen overnight. So when someone jumps into a leadership position, they are not real leaders. They're doing it for their own benefit, not for yours, not for anyone. Okay, but for them. Leaders is a very unique type of person. Okay, it's a very unique type of person that has the ability to do that. And the thing about leaders too is that they cannot be bribed. Why can't they be bribed? Because they don't want to be there to begin with. Think about it. Imagine, to get a better feel of what I'm saying, imagine you just ate a full course dinner. You stuff, right? Now, it wasn't your favorite food that you ate, but you stuff. And all of a sudden, they decide to put your favorite food in front of you. Would you want to eat? It doesn't matter how good it looks, how expensive. You could have the best chef in the world prepare it. You're not going to touch that because you're full. This is a leader. He's full. No amount of money or anything can tempt him because, again, he doesn't want to be there. He's just waiting for the day that God will send someone that will replace him to step down from the position he wants to be in. He's not seeking honor. He's not seeking glory. He just wants to be a normal, average person. And the only time he will step forward is if there's no one else who is qualified to be in that position. That's the only reason he'll be in there. So again, when you think about leaders, look at the leaders in your community. Look at the leaders at work. Look at leaders in the government. Whatever establishment there's a leadership, examine it. See if they meet that qualification I just said. When you think about leader, think about Moses. Moses had no problem moving out of the leadership position. He had no problem with that because leadership is really a burden. It's a real burden. It's not something fun. And if you understand the magnitude that you will pay the price for every remark you make in a leadership position, because remember, you're in a leadership position, and the things you say and do can tremendously damage people. That's why it's so critical you are careful when you are in that position. And Moses understood that so clearly, it made the hair on his back stood up because that's how afraid he was, because he didn't want that level of responsibility. But obviously, God knew he was able to do it. He was selected by God. He didn't fill out a college application. He didn't fill out employment application, doing a resume and submit it to God, and God has to go through it to see who's qualified for the leadership position. He was selected. Moses had no interest in being a leader, and that's a beauty too about leaders. Again, leaders are not interested in being leaders. People seek them because they see they have the quality of leadership. In order to see and understand people who are special, who have that ability, you yourself have to be able to view them and analyze them by the way they do things, by the way they speak, their action, to see if they meet some of these characteristics of what a great leader should be. Again, I thank you for joining us, and I thank you for being part of this channel. God is giving you a tremendous amount of merits to be able to share and understand and learn with me. Keep going. There are many, many topics we're going to be covering, and I implore you that you need to continue to follow with me. And if you have any loved ones or friends, people that needs to have this type of information, please share the link, tell them about it, and we'll continue to grow. And as long as God permitted, we'll keep moving forward and developing, becoming a better person, because again, information, understanding what we need to do makes life much more enjoyable, much more easier for us to be able to improve and change and move forward with our life. I thank you. God bless all of you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.